Hey, what's up, all you burners out there? This is Weedman420 with the Weedman420 Chronicles. How's all my burners doing out there today? Dav Boy, how you doing?
Peachy Keen.
Paulie?
What's up, everybody?
Man, we got an exciting episode for you today. We're going to be talking about Reefer madness.
Ooh,
and the twisted history of America's marijuana laws.
very twisted, huh?
I'm about to be twisted here in a little bit. I can't wait to smoke today. What we got for you today?
I can't wait to see you twist. It's going to be funny as fuck.
We're going to go through the brief history of marijuana laws in this country and when it started in the 1600s to mid-1800s. Cannabis was literally part of the national fabric here. In the early 1600s, the British government encouraged farmers to grow hemp, a form of cannabis which we talked about in previous episodes, on a low level because it was such a good farm and extremely hardy, fast-growing plant. It was primarily used for production of ropes, sails, clothing, paper, fiber, critical to the British and Spanish empires. And in 1619, the Virginia Assembly passed a law that flat out required farmers to grow it. Kind of crazy, huh? Look at us. Look at us today. In the 19th century, as hemp production waned, more potent forms of cannabis were used as ingredients in many medicinal products and sold openly in pharmacies. Man, I wish they would do that today.
I want to go into like a 1600s pharmacy. I bet that place is awesome.
There'd be so much shit I would just grab off the shelves. I'd be like, I want to try this.
I want one of those, one of these, one of those liquids, one of that, one of that.
It's
Give
like
me two of these.
The first
I'll
time
see
you go
later.
into a dispensary, like if you ever go like to a state where it's legalized, but it's just like for like hardcore druggies. It's like, oh yeah, let me get some cocaine, morphine, yeah, double that. And
That was basically back then in the 1900s. You can go to and pick out cocaine on the shelf.
Yeah,
Give
it's
some of
how-
that white powder stuff that makes me run around crazy.
Hey, give me that shit. I'll put it in my Coca-Cola soft drink, or you could just put leeches all over my body. Same deal.
Yeah,
They're doing that
which is really
today.
cool.
That's those anti-vaxxers.
The 1900s to the 1920s, they called it the marijuana menace. After the Mexican Revolution of 1910, a wave of Mexican immigrants poured into the southwestern U.S. and helped popularize the recreation use of the drug cannabis. In Spanish, was referred to as marijuana. With
Say
no
it one
J.
more time for me.
Marijuana, no
love
J.
I like J's though.
I know. As the drug grew more popular, it was negative associated with Mexican immigrants. Anti-drug campaigners began to warn against the encroaching marijuana menace, describing the terrible crimes attributed to the drug and the Mexicans who used it. Pretty fucked up. I got to say that right there.
As blatantly just calling out people.
Yep. It was only referred to as marijuana because anti-cannabis factions wanted to underscore the drug Mexicanness, meant to play off the anti-immigrant sentiments. And this was noted by Matt Thompson from NPR, called the Code Switch blog. If you guys want to look that up, if you're interested in reading more about this. Rumors quickly spread of Mexicans distributing this demon weed or loco weed.
I want some demon weed. That sounds awesome.
Be a great strain.
Weed makes me go loco still.
Yeah.
Crazy loco.
Oh, don't you know I'm loco? To unsuspecting American school children, and this was written by Eric Shawlesser in 1994 Atlantic article, Reefer Madness. In port cities like New Orleans along the Gulf Coast, the drug also became associated with West Indian immigrants, which I just learned. I didn't know that. And remember we talked about the Hindu Kush, where indica came from?
The
Now we
hashish.
kind of know. Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep, a connection broadly extended to African Americans, jazz musicians, prostitutes, and lower white class. Some of the jazz musicians that I researched that made songs back in the 1920s and 1930s were the Reefer Man, which by Fat Wallace.
Sounds like he's coming at your title.
Yeah, maybe. Duke Ellington said to help. What Duke Ellington liked about it said to help him create and the groove and the jive, and he created a song called "Jive, Jive, Jive," which was what they called cannabis back then too. Ooh. Reefer, jive, hide the reefer man. Here comes the reefer. Here comes the creeper. Hide the reefer. Here comes the creeper. Another cool song. And then the biggest one, who I still like to listen to today, is Louis Armstrong, the real king of reefer.
Ooh,
he smoked it every day of his life.
like
If
his
you've
whole
watched
life.
If you watch the Ray Charles movie, they were all smoking weed in it, like
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And he talks about how it, like, I think he said something about how it helped him out a little bit in there. So I mean, like a little jest at it being medical for him.
The marijuana menace, as sketched by anti-drug campaigners, was personified by inferior races and social deviance. In that article that you guys can read that I mentioned. In 1913, now this is going to catch you 22. You ready? In 1913, California, of all fucking places, passed the first state cannabis prohibition law.
Those rat bastards.
I look at them today, though, right?
Yeah, well, they turned it around quick.
Yep. The effort was sponsored by the State Board of Pharmacy as part of the larger anti-narcotics campaign, even though there was a little time public concern about cannabis. Proposed by Henry Finger. I'd like to give him the finger.
Ooh, Henry, pull my finger.
Yeah. A powerful member of the board, the law was intended to supposedly prevent the spread of drug use by Hindu immigrants. Once again, they were bringing in that Hindu Kush, baby.
That good shit.
Yep.
Sorry, they were just getting everybody too high. They couldn't deal with it. So had to outlaw it.
Within the last year, we in California have been getting a large influx of Hindus, and they have in turn started a demand for cannabis indica, wrote Finger in a 1911 letter. They are very, very undesirable. See, it was all about racism. It wasn't about the reefer. It was about not wanting people to come into this country.
Those rad assholes.
Yep. A lot of habitat is growing in California very fast. The fear is now that it's not being confined to the Hindus alone, but they are initiating our whites into this habit. 1930. I know, it's crazy.
It sounds so dated.
It's so bad. 1930s is when the reefer madness kind of started. The widespread unemployment and poverty during the Great Depression, further resentment of fear of immigrants and minorities, and fueled concerns about the perceived ills of the drug. A flurry of pseudo-research linked the use of the drug to violence, crime, and other social deviant behaviors. Lies. A gentleman by the name of Harry J. Anslinger, I like to call him Ass Slinger, the first commissioner of the newly created Federal Bureau of Narcotics, insisted that marijuana led to insanity, criminality, and death. By 1931, 29 states had outlawed it.
It's crazy how fast it works once like the public gets against it, and like once you get some people behind it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're trying to do the same thing with people wanting it, and it doesn't work the other way, unfortunately. Yet.
Reverse the
We should just show them, like, our producer T of, like, how crazy he is until he smokes. Just be like, hey, you guys kidding me? Here's your proof there's nothing wrong with it. And the guy's literally a psychopath until you give him a little bit.
Oh,
of
I
weed.
like giving T Reefer.
Oh, jeez.
The debut of Reefer Madness in 1936, one in a series of anti-marijuana propaganda films released at the time, helped fuel hysteria about the drug. Originally titled Tell Your Children, the film centers on a series of hyperbolic events that ensue that innocent high school students are lured into trying marijuana, from a hit-and-run accident to manslaughter, suicide, attempted rape, hallucinogenics, and rapid descent into madness. Following a lurid propaganda campaign against the evil weed, Congress passed a Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. Now, here, I've seen Reefer Madness. Okay? I've seen it. I've watched it. I've watched it sober, and I've watched it high. You need to watch it high, because you will laugh your fucking ass off. It's an hour-long episode that they showed kids back in the day. It is fucking funny as fuck.
I was reading about it earlier.
It's crazy. You need to watch it.
But I was just seeing, like, the book version, and I saw, like, a good long comment on a guy claiming he was a doctor just basically shitting on the whole thing. Just saying it's stupid. Like, there's no, like, actual proof in what they're doing.
No.
It's just, like, the big thing with science was, like, correlation doesn't mean it's, like, connected to something. Just, like, because, like, there's behaviors going on while someone's smoking weed doesn't mean they're correlated or connected.
I mean, it's funny. They show a scene of a guy playing a piano and a woman. They're singing next to him. The guy tries to jump all over because he's been smoking cannabis, and it's just fucking nuts.
Wild.
Nice.
It was just straight up like fear tactics that they were using on people. It's so bad.
That's why we need, like, the DeLorean, so we can go back in time, just, like, see what it was like for one of these crazy reefer parties. 1920s reefer party had Gatsby on his fucking knees begging for more. Huh?
Oh, I bet.
True.
In the 1960s and 70s, the counterculture and the crackdown, widespread adoption of marijuana by both young hippies and anti-war movement and white middle class briefly resulted in a more relaxed attitude and enforcement. Reports commissioned by President John F. Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson found that marijuana use did not induce violence or lead to the use of heavier drugs. Man, Kennedy, wish you didn't get shot and killed, because that would have been amazing if you were still around, because we would have had this legalized by now in this whole country.
Yeah, it would have been good.
I don't know. As part of President Richard Nixon's
Not a crook.
anti-drug efforts, Congress in 1970 passed a Controlled Substance Act. It created various legal categories or schedules for different types of drugs, depending on the perceived public threat. Cannabis was placed alongside heroin and LSD into Schedule 1, the most restrictive category reserved for drugs deemed to have no medical benefit and the highest potential for abuse. Fucked up, man.
It's crazy that it's in that category.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Including cannabis in this category was more of a reflection of Nixon's animus towards the countercultural, which he associated marijuana than scientific, medical, or legal opinion. Scott C. Martin, a history professor at Bowling Green State University, wrote in Time magazine, "The Scheduled 1 designation," he said, "made it difficult for even physicians or scientists to procure marijuana for research studies. In fact, the bipartisan Schaefer Commission, an investigative committee appointed by Nixon to study drug abuse in America, went on to recommend that possession of small amount of marijuana be decriminalized. In 1972, my birth year, a year after Nixon declared his war on drugs, the commission presented its findings to Congress and reported title, Marijuana, a Signal of Misunderstanding."
72, dude, you're old.
Shut up. Yeah, but I've been smoking reefers for a long time.
You're about as old as the war on drugs.
It noted that most marijuana users were not dangerous at all, but rather more timid, drowsy, and passive, just like Dov, just like he is right now, and concluded that cannabis did not pose any widespread danger to society and recommended using social measures other than criminalization to discourage its use. Not surprisingly, Nixon rejected his commission findings, forging ahead with his anti-drug agenda, and following year, Congress created the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, a merger of the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, BNND, and the Office of Drug Abuse Law Enforcement, ODALE. The report, though, did significantly influence state governments, a movement spearheaded by newly established national organizations for the reform of marijuana laws, NORML, because if you smoke marijuana, you're normal, resulted in Oregon passing the first decriminalization statute in 1973. Over the next 5 years, 10 other states followed suit, from California to, astoundingly, Mississippi. In 1986, mandatory minimum drug sentencing. President Ronald Reagan, in 1986, signed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, instituting mandatory sentences for drug-related crimes. The legislation had actually been championed by Democrats who saw a political opportunity to outdo Republicans by getting tough on drugs. See what I'm reading here? It's all propaganda, people. Just remember that. The shift was in part a response to the nation's shock over the death of the Celtics star draft pick Len Bias from a cocaine overdose.
I see how cocaine correlates to marijuana now.
Cocaine.
Shout out to the Celtics.
The law
Yes,
increased federal penalties for the sale and possession of an array of drugs, including marijuana, with the penalties based on the amount of the drug involved. Under the law of possession of 100 marijuana plants received the same penalty as possessions of 100 grams of heroin. A later amendment established a 3 strikes and you're out policy, requiring life sentences for repeat drug offenders. Some fucked up shit.
Mm-hmm.
In the wake of the law, drug-related arrests soared, spurring a massive increase in the state and federal prison populations. It's all a game, peeps. At the time of the law's enhancement in 1986, there were roughly 400,000 inmates in America's prison system. By 2015, the population had nearly quadrupled to a peak of, you ready for this, almost 1.5 million.
It's 1.5 million in jail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having to feed 1.5 million people, support 1.5 million people in a prison cell.
Probably dealing a gram of or an ounce of cannabis.
And then they wonder.
Giving the U.S. the dubious distinction of the largest jailer in the world. Marijuana arrests factored heavily in the increase, accounting for more than half of all drug arrests, mostly for possession. African Americans were and still continue to be arrested at dramatically higher rates than whites, despite similar rates of usage, according to the ACLU. In 1996, dawn of the medical movement, the passage of Proposition 215 by a solid majority of voters, California bypassed federal law and became the first state to legalize the sale and medical use of cannabis for patients with AIDS, cancer, and other serious and painful diseases. 28 states followed, Washington, D.C. have since passed legislation authorizing medical use of the drug. So California was the first to make it illegal, and they were the first to make it legal medically.
Would you say that's the biggest comeback story of all time?
Comeback of the fucking
It's a
century,
pretty good
baby.
one.
I'm pretty happy they haven't fallen off the side of the earth yet.
Slowly.
Despite the legalization of marijuana medical use in 29 states, it still remains a Schedule I drug under federal law, making it difficult for researchers to study its medical effects, as explained in everything we've talked about. Paulie has talked about this great about being able scientists not being able to do research because of the federal law. In 2012, it's now recreational, and 11 states have legalized cannabis completely. That means that adults can access cannabis products for medicinal and recreational use. 22 states have implemented or recently made it medical in their states, and then there is 14 states that in some way have authorized use of CBD-only products, and you're left with 3 that are just stuck in no man's land right now. So that was just a brief history. I know it was a little winded, but I wanted you guys to understand the American history of cannabis and where we came from and where we're moving to. And Paulie over here is going to talk a little bit about why it's still Schedule I and why under federal law. Paulie, take it over, brother.
So I just want to start and go over like the DEA's scheduling of drugs. So with Schedule 1, it means there's like no accepted medical use of any of these drugs, and they have like a high potential for abuse. And examples of drugs in this category are heroin, LSD, cannabis, and ecstasy. 2 of those things kind of being questioned right now for medical use, LSD and cannabis. LSD is a little bit less talked about, but it's getting a little bit more popular, as you saw that Colorado, was it right? Just decriminalized mushrooms. Not the same as LSD, but in a similar category.
Yeah, it was like slim margin too. I think 51 to 49%.
So that one's another thing that's slowly changing for medical use. But you can see that they're in an odd category with those things, and I think cannabis definitely doesn't belong there. And so you drop down to Schedule 2, and it's they're like a high potential for abuse, which they consider the same for like Schedule 1. And it could potentially lead to like severe psychological and physical dependence. And they consider them like more dangerous drugs. And this is cocaine, meth, Oxycontin, and fentanyl.
And that's a Schedule 2, you said?
Those are Schedule 2.
That is fucked up.
Yeah.
That's
So I just
so
wanted to
fucked.
talk about that. I think that's crazy that those are in Schedule 2, and then you have LSD and cannabis in Schedule 1. I think it's just because for cannabis, I think a lot of it, like we said, leads to racism, but for LSD, it's a lot of just like negative stigmas and a lot of scares because it can just, I don't even know. I guess there's just not enough information on it yet. That's like the only thing I could think of. So for Schedule 3, it's like moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence, and they're like there's still the potential for abuse, but it's like considered a little bit lower than Schedule 2. And that's ketamine and like your anabolic steroids and some like testosterones could be in there. So those are like,
Shout out Barry Bonds.
yeah. So those are your Schedule 3. And Schedule 4 is like so we're getting lower potential for abuse and risk of dependence. And in here, surprising is like Xanax, Valium, and Ambien, because those do have a good medical use if they're used properly.
Right.
But I feel like right now we see a lot of people like Xanax is so popular and a lot of people are getting dependent on it, and it's definitely fucking up a lot of people.
All right, it's being abused.
Yeah.
And like it's easier for people to get their hands on because it's a schedule higher drug, at least number wise.
Yeah.
And it's more available.
So fucking crazy how marijuana is the Schedule 1. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
get
just
it because
wild.
like if it's legalized in some parts of the country, but then federally it's seen as a Schedule 1 drug, I just don't see like how you
Yeah.
can let it be available to the public yet still keeping it federally illegal.
It's crazy.
And like that's like again we talked about in previous episodes with the states laws versus the federal laws, and it's just a big conundrum.
And then your Schedule 5 are lower potential for abuse, like even more so than Schedule 4. and they're usually like you could find a lot of these drugs in like limited quantities of certain narcotics, like your things that are like anti-diarrheal, anti-tussive, and analgesics. So like your cough medicine, like with less than 200 milligrams of codeine, like Robitussin or things like that. So those are your Schedule 5, like
Are you
lean
trying to
and
say
shit.
there's like drugs that'll make me like not diarrhea?
Yeah.
But like maybe I like a nice diarrhea. Did you guys ever just sit on the toilet after like a big meal and just get a good diarrhea out?
No.
I know you listeners probably have.
I don't even want to think about
Just
it.
get a good, you the porcelain throne.
What is that
just
stuff? What is that stuff they call
use some
lean?
double ply?
And they mix with like sodas and stuff like that. Isn't that?
It's just codeine, right?
Well, that was a
like
Schedule 4, right?
codeine
People are
Sprite.
using that like to just get fucked up on now, right?
That's Schedule 5.
5?
But that's like cough medicine, so it's like lower quantities of it in the
Right.
cough medicine.
Go Future.
Yeah. So, true. So, like, why is cannabis Schedule 1 when you saw some of those comparisons to drugs that are considered having medical use and being lower schedules than marijuana when we've seen many proven cases of it being good? Like, I don't think anyone can deny that the seizure community, like we talked about last episode, is having positive benefits from cannabis. And so why is it still so denied? So there's kind of a weird perception by a lot of people that cannabis is like really addictive and you become dependent on it. And so much of that can be kind of accredited to like movies and things that we talk about, like presenting like the stereotypical stoner who's just lazy and all he has to do is smoke all day and just kind of things like that.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many misconceptions about it, and if you can properly like moderate your smoking or use it to the best of your, like do it when you need it, like it's not that addictive and you can control it. Like it can be, so you have to be careful and just like realize that maybe sometimes it's good to take a break here and there if you need to, or if you start to become like overly tolerant to it, which can happen if you smoke so much like every day, you'll start to lose a lot of those medical effects. That's what a lot of people have said. Mm-hmm. And I guess I don't know if I've noticed that at all, but I definitely think it would be possible, like just with alcohol, like as you drink more and more of it, you have to like...
You know, we know some alcoholics. There's functional alcoholics. There's people that work and they can drink all day. They sneak in alcohol in their system all day long. Mm-hmm. We call them functional alcoholics. That feeling of being drunk all day long and waking up that next day is probably one of the fucking worst feelings those people probably have. I mean, I hate
how they
hangovers.
do that.
I fucking hate hangovers. They're the worst ever.
That's what like deters me from wanting to drink sometimes. It's just like I do not want to be hungover the next day.
No, never.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how functioning alcoholics actually can do it. It just...
And there's things like that happen, and alcohol is proven to be addictive, and it's still considered so much better than marijuana. Even if marijuana is used like recreationally just for fun and relaxation, like it can't get classified.
I've
like
never
that.
had a hangover the next day from smoking marijuana. Ever.
No. I mean, I've gotten like a headache from smoking too much, maybe, like during the day. But like, I think that's just credit to like probably overdoing it, not that good of weed.
Probably, I think it's the oregano you get from the alley that you get every once in a while.
Hey, man. All right. I don't need you judging.
I mean, I could feel a little groggy in the morning sometimes if I smoke too much the night before. Like, I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh shit, maybe I'm still like a little bit high, and you can feel a little groggy. But I definitely don't think it affects me the next day like alcohol does.
No, I'm dead the whole day if I get really fucked up the night before an alcohol and I wake up the next day, I'm shot. No
and
matter
then the
what.
next day is just dedicated to laying around smoking weeds.
Yeah, and that, but it's the only thing that makes me feel better.
And then it's just like, well, I guess I am the typical stoner now.
Yeah, but see, you're not a stoner. You're a burner.
Well, no.
You get shit done.
Well, yeah, but not when I'm hungover.
No, nobody wants to do anything when they're hungover.
Oh, fuck that. I want to, like, eat McDonald's.
Yeah. All right, I don't want to shit on alcohol too much because to each their own. But that's just another thing, to each their own, and people should be able to choose marijuana too. But so then we talk about the no acceptable medical use, which would make it have to be lowered on the scheduling classifications, and it's just crazy. I talked about with the seizure community, and just I know for a fact that it has a lot of medical benefits. just for your mood or loosening up your body or whatever you need it for, getting rid of headaches. It could be great for a lot of things. Then there's like things like DARE and other programs that just talk about marijuana as a gateway drug into like harder narcotics. And marijuana isn't even classified as a narcotic on the DEA scheduling.
I'm pretty sure Dare removed it as well.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's cool. But still, you still hear a lot of people talk about how it's the gateway drug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like us growing up, when we sat through Dare, they
Yeah.
talked all the time about marijuana as a gateway drug.
Mm-hmm.
You smoke one puff of marijuana, your life's over.
Yeah, it's
Look at me,
done.
bitch. I'm thriving.
True. You're doing you. But yeah, so there's just that's been pushed for a long time, and it's still believed by a lot of people. And then the association it has with like minority groups and how it's been used to just punish a lot of minority groups and target them a lot more than anyone else, and it's, I think, hurt their communities a lot and done a lot of negative for them, just because the way the government has treated marijuana and targeted them through marijuana. I think an interesting statistic is that nearly 600,000 Americans are arrested for marijuana possession annually, and an African American person is 3.73 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession on average compared to anyone else.
That's fucked up.
And it's just
That
another
is fucked.
another fact to show maybe why they've kept laws on marijuana so strict to be able to do that, and just have some people not even bat an eye about it and just continue to push how it's so bad and continue to accept that people are being wrongfully punished and put in jail for it. So how does the DEA continue to have marijuana like on the Schedule 1 is because they have a lack of research which would show these medical benefits. So when it's on Schedule 1, nobody can do research to prove these medical benefits. So there's this catch-22 there where nobody can do research to help it, but at the same time it's Schedule 1, so no research can ever get done, and it's just people are trapped, and researchers and scientists can't, have no choice but
Sounds
to
like
just
they just
sit by the side.
pick and choose like what drugs are scheduled what, so they can see what benefits go to what. It sounds like a big money thing to
But
me.
it
that's just
is,
what
and
I
you got to
think
think about this for a second, because marijuana is the most used and probably the most one you can get out there, that they know that they can arrest more people, as you said in that number there.
Yeah.
You know, how many arrests a year that they do, it's a moneymaker. Because
Right.
you have to go through the system, you go to jail, you go through the court system, you have to pay lawyer fees, you have to pay, if you go to jail, then they got you in the institute now they can make $21,000 a year off you. Taxpayers' money's going towards that. So it's all just a bias of how many people they can bust or get in trouble, because they know it's the most widely used. Cannabis is most widely
Right.
used, you know.
Yeah.
So look at the numbers. It states in itself, it's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Money, money, money.
So, with Schedule 1 drugs, to be able to research them, they have to have private laboratories that are licensed and can test on them, and they can get out the marijuana to researchers. And so for a long time there'd only been one private laboratory to produce marijuana. It was at the University of Mississippi, and they were the only ones approved for federal research, and they were under a contract with the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and so basically they were just running a monopoly on the supply, and they could only get enough out to so many people, so only so much research could be getting done because of that.
Interesting.
Wow.
So the researchers have to get the marijuana from one of these facilities that are funded and federally approved. But they also at the same time mandated that the studies that had to be done were to show the harms and not the benefits. So if you were going to go in to do the research, had to be biased towards the harm. So that's why so much information was getting pushed out that were scaring people away from marijuana and like just saying that there's nothing good with it and it's just all bad.
Wow.
So it was said that 16.5% of the spending went toward like the therapeutic properties of cannabis, and all the other money went towards the harms, or maybe I don't even know what else they would be looking at, but just probably pushing out negative like propaganda about it, just crazy stuff.
Damn.
So in 2017, the Marijuana Effective Drug Study Act was passed, and it was to streamline like the registration process and provide enough marijuana to get out to like researchers and scientists. So it kind of upped the amount so a little bit more research could be done. And then in 2018, the Strengthening the 10th Amendment through Entrusting States Act was passed, and it was to protect states' rights to legalize marijuana for adult, like recreational and medical use. And so that just gave the states a little bit more protection to be able to do what they're doing and get it out medically on their own, like on their own votes. And then, so that's like where marijuana kind of is right now, and why it's stuck where it is still, and what's happening to try and make it change. There's been tons and tons of attempts to try and get it pushed off of the Schedule 1 classification, and all of them are just getting denied, or they're just not even getting responded to. So it's just in like a stalemate right now. But thankfully, states are being able to do it on their own if they want to, and at least some people can get their hands on it that need it. So hopefully we slowly see things change. And Dave, if you got anything about what needs to be changed, let's fucking hear it.
I do. It's kind of hard to talk right now since you brought that big bag of fruities down, and like it's been staring at me this whole time. And I ate one when you're talking, and my mouth's really watery because I want another one. It's like there's a lot going on right now. Anyways, basically, what needs to be done is the removal of cannabis from the Schedule 1 off the Controlled Substance Act list, which Paul said basically is a list of drugs seen as with no accepted medical use. Cannabis, however, is argued to meet the standards of having the Controlled Substance Abuse Act and placing it under Schedule 1, meaning cannabis probably shouldn't be under a Schedule 1 drug because there's medical dispensaries pretty much wherever it's legal and it's proven to have medical use. And they wouldn't have medical dispensaries if it wasn't proven. So I don't see the gray area here. But what the government is saying pretty much is cannabis is still dangerous enough to be deemed as a Schedule 1. And a lot of this comes down to the interpretation of how the Controlled Substance Act is. Looked at I think it's loopholey. Because basically what I said, it's seen as no medical use, yet there's medical dispensaries. I just don't get it. The Controlled Substance Act does provide a process for having drugs to be rescheduled, though, and this is done by petitioning the DEA. An interesting fact, the first petition was done in 1972. You know who was born in 1972?
Weed Man 420.
God, you're old. And which basically wanted doctors to legally prescribe cannabis. And this petition was denied after 22 years in the court process.
That's fucked up.
It's basically my lifetime.
That's a lot of money down the drain.
That is a lot.
Yep.
But what's even more interesting is a synthetic pill of cannabis THC was rescheduled in 1986 to be prescribed under a Schedule 2 drug. And in 1999, it was rescheduled again to be prescribed under Schedule 3. So they'll take synthetic cannabis use, do whatever they want with it, but the real deal,
Because that's Big Pharma's way, and that's where the money's at. So.
Yep, absolutely. What is synthetic? Do we know? Can we look it up? What is synthetic cannabis?
It's just straight THC.
That's
in like
it?
a pill
Yeah.
form.
But
I don't know what else they put in it, but it's like straight THC in like a pill form.
Okay.
And you can take it for different like problems you have, and
Basically, you're
it's
not
supposed
getting that entourage effect.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Something to think about. Politics at a federal level is very different from the state level. I know we've talked about that before. It can be very difficult on many levels, and the federal government does move very, very slow. An impact can be made at the local level and can have direct effect on your community. So you're probably going to want to move at a local level, do like your kind of grassroots movements before you want to just hit federally, because federal government does not move fast whatsoever. If you've ever been to the DMV, you would know that.
True. I know a lot about that.
Local governments can extend to like your city transportation, council members, and the police. But in the sense of cannabis, one big issue is getting it decriminalized first. As we've seen in Chicago, Chicago one had decriminalized it, and they've been doing it. Like things have been pretty good here.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm still, breathing there. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling great. Ways to get involved. Writing a voter initiative, and first I would check to see if if your state allows that. If it does not allow a voter initiative, there's still ways to get involved by attending like public hearings. Make sure you comment on issues and let your voice be heard, because in government it matters. Like we founded this country on, like our voice of word, getting involved. We wouldn't have been able to, break away from the British if we didn't be heard.
The Tea Party.
Yeah, sometimes
Let's throw some bags of weed over a ship and watch people jump and try to get them and smoke them.
How about you guys just take all those bags of weeds and throw them on my front lawn, and I'll smoke them for you.
Yeah.
If your initiative fails at first, revise and keep trying. Be persistent. Be heard. And, stand up for what you guys believe in, because, you don't know who it's going to help. It might not happen in your lifetime, but down the road it could help somebody else.
True.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, stand up for your right.
Yeah.
Just
Like the BC Boys always said.
Yep.
You gotta fight for your right to party.
That's some good stuff, boys, right there.
That's some good stuff.
Yep. We're going to smoke right now.
The fun stuff.
Yay! What are we smoking? I'm so excited!
All right, so today we got motherflucking Tangy from Rhythm. It's a sativa, and it is delicious. It smells so fucking good. And this is rocking 17.6% THC. And so it's not too bad. I think it's a pretty good amount to have if you're just trying to have like a little upper during the day to get you through.
I've smoked this strain a couple times now. I like it a lot.
I have not done that one yet.
I've liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
No.
Oh,
I
good,
feel like I've tried
Yeah.
a sour tangy before, but I don't know if there's a difference between that and just this tangy.
Oh.
You smelled this shit, right? Describe it for the listeners.
Well, they're describing it. I'm going to smoke.
It's like that. It really hits like your nostrils hard.
It smells so citrusy.
Yeah, it's like a really strong.
Oh my god!
It's like that lemon please like type
amazing.
thing. It's good.
I'm hitting this shit,
excited.
too.
Paulie's gonna smoke it out the bong.
Oh,
The weed
man,
man's got
that's
the
tasty.
Gandalf pipe because he's sick and we don't want to catch his cooties.
Nope. Wow, that's good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna give
Tastes
this thing a
fantastic.
big old rip.
Of our Rick and Morty beaker bong. All hail.
I haven't hit the bong in a while.
We've been smoking a lot of joints lately.
I love joints.
Yeah.
I'm a joint guy.
Yeah, we do like smoking joints.
Yeah, I haven't done a bong in a while. I love bongs.
Yeah, bongs are nice.
Used to be a big blunt guy. Not anymore.
You were a blunt guy for the longest.
Yeah, not anymore. I'm good. It's kind of weird, sitting on other sides here at the table. You guys can't see us because there's no camera or anything.
Soon.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll videotape us. You can see how weird we look. But me and Paulie switch seats because we don't have a producer today.
I'm the producer.
Shorty and
Fucking
T,
day.
you guys are lacking today.
I've been doing a great job.
But we care about the people so much that we said, fuck it to those guys.
Yeah, see ya.
Please come back, though. We really miss you.
Yeah.
But this strain tastes phenomenal. I've shared it in the past with some people who like good sativas, and
Yeah,
they've nothing but rant and raved about this strain. And Rhythm, good job on this one, man. Tangy, it's in probably one of my top favorites now, sativa
Yeah.
strains.
Well, we'll hit those effects in a sec. Let
bee's
Dave,
knees.
let Dave take it home within the papers.
In the papers, ding.
Welcome to my papers. I kind of piggybacked off Forbes a little bit. Andre Burke had some, and Instagram at 420 Stocks. They have a very good Instagram page. It's very informal. Not as great as ours, though, because we're the best. No, just kidding. They're cool. Green Market Summit Symposium took place here in Illinois not too long ago, and that's all the Illinois cannabis leaders. They got together, and
Wait. All the cannabis leaders? Why the fuck was I not invited?
because you're the vigilante.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it said the leaders. And we're too cool for that. We didn't show up. We were too cool. We were too stoned. We didn't want to go. We're better than them. And it was just basically just us saying, "Hey, we're awesome." But what's interesting about that day, as it took place, I believe that was earlier in May. The details about Illinois State's recreational marijuana bill were released. Interesting timing. Governor Pritzker, am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think you're saying it right.
Let's just call him JB. Our boy JB detailed a proposal for Illinois recreational marijuana law, and it's consisting of full legalization. Also, this will aim to prevent big business from coming in, and they are doing that by setting limits on ownership. So, no monopolies here in the weed business, which is actually a pretty smart thing to do.
We'll see.
Yeah, let's see. I'm interested to see how that one goes in the long run. I just don't want to see like Walmart brand marijuana.
Well, this is the first state to ever not introduce legalization through a ballot.
Mm-hmm.
They did it by a state legislation. The weed's kicking in. Legislation vote in the House and the Senate.
That's crazy.
First state.
Wow.
I don't know if I like that much.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird not letting the people vote on the issues because it is kind of a social matter, social issue.
I agree.
So the laws for us regular run-of-the-mill burners are as follow. 1, possession of about an ounce. We get about 30 grams of flour for us people 21 and up, the fun age. 2, 5 grams of the hash. 3, 50 doses of edibles, 500 milligrams at 10 milligram per serving. Number 4, residents can grow up to 5 plants, but it's got to be out of public view, meaning you got to grow that shit in your basement.
Or a greenhouse.
Yeah, if you're that fancy. Like, maybe if you're like
nice.
south of Kankakee. Like, we don't got that type of farmland by us. That'd be cool. Have like a little, like, I don't know, what are those called? I want to say cornucopia, but I don't think that's right.
Cornucopia.
I don't know. Cornucopia is a cool word. Yeah, but you have like a little, like, basement, little marijuana.
I can't wait.
It'd be cool.
I know.
Other laws that are interesting for people who have been convicted with marijuana. Expungent. That's also a funny word. Expungent. Past low-level offenses. Also removing misdemeanor or class 4 felonies. Yeah, that's kind of big for them. Like, it's just wiping your clean slate.
Yep, that was a good one.
Go to the garbage, clean off your tray, you get a new one. Commercial advertisement is banned near schools, on city buses, and cannot contain pot leaves or cartoons as per the new law. So you won't be seeing SpongeBob hitting that dank.
That's fine. That makes sense.
Well, if I was a kid and I saw SpongeBob smoking weed, I'd want to grow up and smoke weed.
True.
Illinois State Police Director Brian Kelly states that he is on board, noting that his agency, quote, will be a responsible partner in enforcing the law and ensuring any and all provisions of adult use legislation are strictly and efficiently complied with.
About time, Illinois.
Yeah.
About
seriously.
fucking time.
Illinois cops will be on board. CPD will probably do their own thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Hopefully not.
Nah, those guys are cool. I got no problem with cops.
Well, let's see if this all works out by 2020. I have a feeling, like I've been saying this for a while about Illinois, it all won't get into effect until 2021. Yeah, the law is going to go in by the time they implement everything and they have the recreational licenses going and then they have enough weed and cannabis to supply everybody. 2021 Because in Michigan right now, they're still not there with their recreational dispensaries. They're still not opened yet.
Well, those guys got to figure it
Right.
out.
And I'm not getting rid of my medical card because I can hold up to 2.5 ounces when you guys can only hold up to next to nil.
Oh, look at him. Oh, hey, got that extra ounce and a half over here. I'm weed man. I don't know how much weed you got. Well, I got more than you. Yeah, fuck off, asshole.
Well, I'm keeping my medical card.
I
That's
would
cool.
too. That's smart.
I
You
want to
can
have
just
my
flex on
plants,
us.
and I'll be happy.
Yeah, that'd be fucking dope.
Botanical. I'm trying to think of the word. Not cornucopia.
I don't
Botanical.
know, but my lips are tingling right now. I'm pretty baked.
It's gonna be like a garden in your basement, but it's gonna be like a cool word. I'm gonna come up with a cool.
Botanical garden.
Is that it?
I don't know.
That's cool.
We're really baked right now. Can't you tell? I'm fucking high.
So how's everyone feel?
I'm fucking can't feel my face.
This picked me back up a little bit.
Yeah, I was a little
I feel
down.
good. I was almost falling asleep off that vanilla kush.
I felt the headache coming. Now it's all gone. Those sharp sativas really kill those things.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel really good.
Tangy,
I think
love
this
you.
is a good daytime strain if you're gonna go do something fun.
Concert
definitely
strain,
smoke this.
definitely.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm a fan. Good
I'm
job,
baked.
Rhythm. We appreciate it. We
Yeah.
like it.
You guys are dope.
We'll get it again.
Yep. Well, we want to say thanks for listening. Hopefully you've been enjoying all these episodes we've been throwing at you. But don't forget, we're on Apple Podcast, we're on Spotify, and we're on Buzzsprout as Weedman 420 Chronicles. And then don't forget to take a look at our Instagram at Weedman 420 Chronicles, our Twitter at Weedman 420 Pod, and then throw us an email at weedman420chronicles@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Dav?
Hey, I'm Doobie Dov, and thanks for listening, all you burners out there. We had a great time today, and I just want to make sure that you all know you're appreciated. Over to you, Paul. E.
If you actually talk like that for a whole episode, I wouldn't even listen.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
No problem, dude.
Yeah.
Yo, we love you. Puff puffing away.